Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the channel. We're talking about economics and crypto and lots of other fun things. And okay, what a red week it has been. I know that's not enjoyable. And even, oh man, what happened? We got the rate cuts 2 days ago. We got the ending of quantitative tightening, which is a good thing, you know, for short term for our assets. I mean, in the pile of things, that is a good thing. And yet, the market is dumping. Bitcoin's at 108 as of the making of this video. Ethereum's hanging on $3,800 and hanging on to support. And hopefully it continues to hang on. But something else significant happened when Jerome Powell opened his mouth. Okay, so that's the big thing we're looking at. He talked about basically stagflation. And there was one sentence in particular that the market did not like. And it responded too poorly. The stock market, the crypto market. And what was that one sentence? And I'm going to debunk that one sentence in a little bit here. It is this. Jerome Powell, we're not certain about a December rate cut. And then you see this clip from from Pirates of the Caribbean. We're not certain about a December rate cut. Okay, you know what? I'm probably a little bit more certain, you know, and actually no, Jerome Powell, always you have to put on your BS detector with any word that comes out of his mouth. We're going to get rate cuts in December. I didn't mean to turn that on. We're going to get rate cuts in December. We are most likely going to get rate cuts in December. And so here, let me present to you the absolute worst case scenario, and then let me show you why we are going to get rate cuts in December. So here's the absolute worst case scenario. Although what happened before this was a big run up in the altcoin market. So this is December. This is November going into December of 2024. Oh, 2025 is going to make all your wildest dreams come true. Cryptos going to the moon. And then what happened? You see this right here, this red candle that broke the uptrend. That was the day last year when Jerome Powell hinted at potentially, he spoke in hawkish terms. He said there may not be any more rate cuts for a while, and there weren't. And then look what happened with the market. The market went in a clear downtrend. It was pretty ugly for a while until the April 7th bottom. You know, the whole tariff fears all contributed to that as well. So it wasn't just one thing, but a lot of things contributed to that. And we dumped really hard. And maybe is this the case for altcoins? The total 2 market cap, we're going to go back down to the 800 billion area. We're at 1.44 trillion. Would that be painful? That would be painful. That would be painful. That would not be fun. And so, okay, you know what? Worst case scenario, is that what's going to happen again? Well, let me just point something out here. Well, first of all, I mean, yeah, the fact that QT is over is generally a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing in the stew of hoping for our short-term bags. QT is officially over on December 1st. All right, that's the first thing I'll say. The second thing is they're cutting rates in December. All right, 72.8%, sure, you know, 72.8% according to the CME FedWatch tool. That is still very likely that they're going to cut in December, but let me make to you a more compelling argument, and this was brought out from Decode on X. Jerome Powell can say whatever he wants. Fed will follow the black line. The black line is following. This is the 2-year yield, right? No, this is the 1-year yield. The 1-year yield. The 1-year yield goes down. The Fed will follow the 1-year yield. That's all you need to know. That is it. Okay, so even for some reason, if they didn't cut in December, they would cut at their next meeting. The Fed, this is so funny because you think that they're just trying to make rational decisions, whatever, yada, yada, yada. No, they're just following the yields. They're following the 2-year. They're following the 1-year. That's it. Okay, so all this talk about blah, 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 Trump, blah, 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 whatever. No, they're just following the yields. All right, and the yields are trending down. They're going to follow. The blue line is going to follow the black line. All right, that's really all you need to know. And intelligence here, I don't know who this is, but he makes a really good point, and we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart in a little bit here. The Fed isn't managing inflation anymore. It's managing illusion. Jerome Powell stands there pretending to be the calm voice of control while everyone from Trump to Wall Street knows the system is barely holding together. They talk about soft landings like it's a science, but it's really just guesswork with trillion-dollar consequences. The truth is Powell and his team are trapped. If they raise rates, they break the debt machine that keeps the U.S. government and corporate America alive, which I'm going to tell you now, if I was in Jerome Powell's positions, I would just be like, screw it, we're going to raise rates. That is the best long-term thing for the American economy, is just raising rates and raising them aggressively. And yeah, that would cause a lot of pain. Anyway, this isn't about me. If they cut rates, inflation roars back and exposes how fake the recovery really was. So they do what every empire does in decline, perform stability while everything beneath them cracks. And the worst part is people like Yellen and even the big players like BlackRock and Goldman already know it. They're not trying to fix the system. They're just trying to make sure they own the collapse when it comes. The Fed isn't fighting for the economy anymore. It's fighting for the illusion that it still matters. Yeah, they want to keep up appearances of a healthy economy for as long as they can. And I think they can keep it up for a little bit longer than what we tend to think. You know, my boy Devin, he says 2029 is going to be the big year when the S hits the F. We'll see. Maybe it's 2029. I'm not saying that this is absolutely going to happen next year. I'm not saying it's going to happen in 2027. I would think it's actually unlikely that it's going to happen in 2026. But at some point, the crows are going to come home to roost, and it's going to be really ugly. Okay, so that's everything that happened yesterday. But if we're talking about the short term, it's the market has priced in the uncertainty. You know, it was a much more of a certainty that there would be a rate cut in December, and now it's pricing in the uncertainty of that. But okay, you know, let's let that play itself out over the next few days and weeks, and then we're going to get that rate cut in December. And all right, you know what? So be it. C'est la vie, I suppose. What are we looking at for the one after that? The one after that is more likely, January is more likely not going to be a cut. March is probably going to be a cut. So, okay. So what do we do with Bitcoin? Well, we still have the two lines in the sand that I already talked about. What is line number one? It's the 50-week moving average. The 50-week moving average is at $103,000. I believe that Bitcoin is going to $103,000. If it goes below there, it might go below there. It might have a wick below there or a daily close below there. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is a weekly close below the 50-week moving average. If that's the case, I am going to be done with pretty much all things crypto, holding crypto at least, until for probably 3 months. I know a lot of people are going to be saying a year, wait, come back in October of 2026. I'm telling you this now. I am thoroughly convinced that Bitcoin will hit a new all-time high in 2026, no matter what happens moving forward. Okay? So here's the fascinating thing about that. If it happens in the first quarter of 2026, people are going to be like, yeah, all right, the bull run was extended a little bit longer. And I think it can continue to climb throughout all of 2026. If it happens anytime after the first quarter of 2026, that is, I dream of that day. I pray for that day, because that's the day when the 4-year halving cycle bros will have to throw in the towel about this 4-year cycle nonsense. Yes, okay, Bitcoin peaked on October 6th. That was according to some prediction, blah, blah, blah. So what? Okay, let that be the case for a little bit of time, that we see a Bitcoin peak on October 26th. At any point, or 2025, at any point, if it breaks through that in 2026, just throw it out the window. Can we be done with this finally? Because, I've said this over and over again, the conditions that we were in when Bitcoin peaked in 2021 and in 2017 and 2013 were the exact opposite of the conditions that we are facing now. The NASDAQ looks very, very bullish for 2026. The S&P 500 looks very, very bullish for 2026. And yet Bitcoin's going to go down 75%. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of pain in 2026, but it's the 4-year cycle bros giving up, thinking that they're going to buy Bitcoin at a 75% discount from its all-time high and then being sidelined like crazy. I would put anything on that. I would put my entire, and if I was forced to choose one thing over the other, I would put my entire net worth on the idea, on the probability that Bitcoin is going to hit a new all-time high in 2026. And you guys know my opinion on the all-time high for the cycle being closer to the next halving than the previous one. I am sticking to that like glue to, I don't know, like glue. How about that? So yeah, today sucks. And then it may be that the next few days or even weeks suck. And it may be that the fourth quarter sucks. And it may be even that we have to deal with the 4-year cycle bros giving up in the first quarter of 2026. But I am telling you, this is not going to be a typical bear market if we even enter a bear market. We're not there yet. I know a lot of people are saying, just give it up, bro. It's over. We haven't even touched the 50 week. We touched it in August of 2024. We touched it in April of 2025. We haven't even touched it, even though sentiment is so much lower than where it's been. What was it any of those times? We haven't even touched the 50-week moving average. No, I'm not giving up. That's absurd. And I know the calls for us to give up with Bitcoin are going to be much louder if and when we get to $103,000 or wick below. And even the calls to give up until the next halving, which is just, if there's that is absurdity on steroids. Okay. The best thing that you can do is be somewhat agnostic. Can you please be somewhat agnostic to this whole market and be open-minded? You weren't open-minded about 2025. Can you now be open-minded about 2026? You weren't open-minded about 2025 because you thought that it was going to be this mega bull run, the bull run to end all bull runs. Now be open about 2026 that it's not going to be the bear market. Okay? Sorry for those of you listening at 2x speed. Good luck with that. All right, so where's the top line in the sand? I've already talked about this plenty, but let's talk about it again. Look at where we got rejected last week, or not last week, a few days ago. Look at where we got rejected. Okay, so I drew my fibs. I drew my original fibs from the peak in October, which doesn't really show anything on the fibs, but that was a swing pattern failure. That move up in October, those are the worst. So you redraw the fibs from the peak in August, and what do you see? Oh boy. You see Bitcoin getting right up to the 618 retrace and getting rejected there from the swing high to the swing low. 618 retrace was 116 and change. Okay, now we're at 107. All right, so we got rejected there. I'm not surprised. I was not excited on Monday when we got up to that price. I wasn't. You know, I know a lot of people were like, okay, bull run's back on. No, we went up. We did a retrace. Now the hope is that we don't put in a lower low. We could put in a double bottom. That would be fine, 103. We could put in a double bottom, but not a lower low. That would not be all that amazing. But even, you could even call this an ABC correction. So whatever the case, 50-week moving average. But all right, we can still easily with Bitcoin. I mean, I heard something about France wanting to buy 2% of the supply of Bitcoin. I think that's awfully naive. I really hope they try, because if they try, Bitcoin's going to shoot off like crazy. You have no idea how difficult it is to buy 2% of the supply of Bitcoin. It is not a thing that you can, oh yeah, let's just go ahead and buy 2% of the supply of Bitcoin. Yeah, good luck with that. All right, I'm wishing lots of people good luck. All right, so it could easily be that we break above the golden pocket here, and then what? And then new all-time highs, easy. No, zero doubt in my mind. I'm not going to say, I never say zero doubt except for when I just did. All right. Very, very, very little doubt in my mind. We break through this golden pocket. It's off to the races for Bitcoin. And then we got to see Ethereum hit a new all-time high. That is still not only within the realm of possibility, within the realm of probability, easily within the realm of probability, So let's not wave the white flag just yet. Now, I'm not promising anything. I'm not saying that we are absolutely going to break all-time highs soon. And I'm not saying that it's over. I'm saying there are two lines in the sand, and I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now. There are two lines in the sand. And until we break one of those, and I do expect us to break it to the upside. But until we break one of those, I'm sitting on my hands. I'm not buying any crypto right now. Not at all. I am whatever. I already mentioned that I had some stop losses on some crypto that I sold. All right, you know what? Let's see some bullish structure. Let's see some bullish divergences on the charts, and we'll be rocking and rolling. All right. So that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.